Well, welcome back to Brands Hatch Intercontinental Rally Challenge, Rally of Scotland. That's today at 5:30. It's day 2, stage 7 from Iraq to 2, and that's on British Eurosport 2. It's all live from there, of course. Well, we are here at pit lane. We're just a couple of moments away from the start of the first MCE BSB race of the day here at Brands Hatch. Already had plenty of drama, plenty more to come, and James Whittam is on the grid, ready to go.
Right, cheers, Tony. Right, I'm back on row 5. The reason is we need to have a word with Shane Byrne. Yeah, thanks, Carl. We need to have a word with Shane Byrne because there's a special presentation of a special helmet. Well, I'm going to when he gets on the grid, I'll explain all about it. If we can get the man, where is he? There, come this way. This man is Paul Mousley from Faridax, and you've got, just explain all about what you're going to do for Shane Byrne here.
Yeah, basically what we've had done is obviously Shaky and Petra have just celebrated the birth of their little girl.
Second child,
yeah, Lily Jade. So we've had a special helmet done to celebrate that, as you can see, with Lily Jade. And
look at the detail on it though. Look at the top there. You've got that. Oh, fantastic! And you're going to. Does he know anything about this?
No, so we just thought it might be a nice little touch for him. Hopefully it might bring a bit of luck back to him as well, with a bit of luck, so we'll see what happens.
Excellent. Well, we're going to get a look when Shane, his Mrs. Petra's already there. Tell you what, we're going to have a quick word with you. Get this. This man, yeah. Derek Redmond, what are you doing here?
Oh, I don't know. I've done a silly thing and invested in a British.Superbike team, so I'm here seeing how they're all doing.
I actually knew you were into bikes. It's been kind of common knowledge that you like your bikes, but you do a bit of racing yourself, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit of endurance racing. Well, I attempt to race. I mean, you know, I do my little bit. I'll give it a go.
So what's the plan now? You've got involved with the Split Left...
Split Left Motorsport. It's now Split Left Redmond Racing, yeah. And we're going to basically take over the world, and this is where I get my little cat out and stroke the cat.
Plans for next year, big, running in this championship still, plus a little bit of endurance stuff as well, I believe.
Yes, we're going to still run 2 bikes in the Superbikes. We've got 7 or 8 bikes in the endurance, and we're also doing some road racing, the Isle of Man TT, possibly 4 bikes in there. And our first outing as Split Left Redmond is in Macau in November.
Are you going?
Oh, yes.
You try and stay out of trouble there.
I will, don't say that. My missus will be watching this.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's so good to see somebody from a high-profile sportsman from a completely different sport getting involved in bikes and realising just how exciting they are. That's good news for us.
Well, it was something I couldn't do while I was competing. It really is exciting, and I had no plan to do this. I've just got hooked on it, and it's a bit like a drug, and I absolutely love it.
Nice to see you in the paddock, Derek.
Thank you. Cheers.
Right, we're going to go and have a quick word, because if we've got... This is it. Here we go. Look, we're going to see the helmet. Did you know about all this helmet thing?
Well,
you're right. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. We like to tell a story on the back of my helmets every time, and I asked Faridax, Steve Clifford at Faridax, if he could provide another helmet, and now they've done one with Lily on the back. So I'm peaking. Looks a little bit girly for me to be racing in, to be fair, but
no, it's beautiful. That.
Yeah, no, I'm pleased with that.
How are you after the incident this morning? Good.
I got a bit of a sore hand. A little bit difficult around the left-hand corners, but fortunately there's not too many of them on here, so we'll be all right. We'll fair way to start back, but you know, it is what it is, and I can't give up now. So come this far, we got to keep at it, haven't we? So
still smiling, mate. Good luck, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, we're going to go forward because I want to go right through to the front row. We are passing. Let's have a look. We're passing Lauda. We're passing Keogh. We're passing Bridewell. Let's have a look. We're looking forward. That's Laws there. We're going forward. Let's have a look. Who we're going to have a word with? John Kirkham. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go straight in and I'm going to go and have a word with Josh Brooks, because I haven't spoken to Josh for quite some time. Let's have a look. Where are we? Here we go. You ready? Josh Brooks.
Yes.
Some lap there.
Yeah, it was a really good lap. I mean, I've been confident on the bike all weekend, right from the first practice yesterday afternoon. We've made the very minorest of changes just to fine-tune the bike a little bit more than what we had here last time, and there's been some improvements over the last couple of rounds since we were here last, and that seems to have made the difference, because you know, I just put a perfect lap together and it was enough to do that lap time, put me on pole. I mean, I try just as hard every qualifying, but it doesn't always work out for me.
Did you make a conscious effort coming down here to Brands to go out? I mean, we've seen you out first. As soon as the green light goes on in the pit lane, you're out there, you're staying out, you're doing laps, and you really seem to be starting to enjoy this.
Yeah. I mean, that's my usual pattern. If I can, I like to get out first and just get a clear track and get that first lap out the way without any other people around on the track near me. But I mean, it's just following my normal pattern. I mean, we follow the normal pattern for qualifying and everything, but it's just this end of the year at the start of the year we were fast, but middle of the year we're consistent. Now
you left yourself a lot of work during the championship, didn't you, from early on?
Exactly, and then now we're fast and consistent, but it's a bit late. But I mean, it's a tough move to go different manufacturer, different team, and different culture of living in Northern Ireland. It all has its effects, but I mean, now I've got a handle on it and we're going forward. But I'll just do the best I can to finish out the year as strong as possible.
We've been impressed by your commitment, and good luck to you, mate.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Right, we're going to go. Let's have a look. Who's got their helmet and who hasn't? And he's sticking the lids on. I'll tell you what, let's go on. He's putting his gloves on, and he's all right. Michael, fantastic lap, and I bet you expected that. Did you see it come up on your dash, and I bet you expected that to be pole?
Yeah, I seen a 25.1, I thought, that's the fastest ever lap around here, that'll do. Done a steady lap, I came round, seen P2 on my board, and was like, no way, gotta go again. So I got stuck in, done another 25.1, but just wasn't enough to pip Josh.
But when you look at the times, you're the man out there who's consistently fast. You're there or thereabouts pretty much when you want, and every single lap if you want.
Yeah, pretty much. I've done the most fast laps out of anyone, and bike's working well and the pace is good, so let's see what we can do.
What's the championship plan? Just go out and win every race and hope that something happens to other people?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a big deficit. I'm back off of the lead, so just race my own races. There's no pressure on me championship-wise. That pressure's on Tommy and Hopper, and I can just enjoy this weekend. And if something comes from it, brilliant. If not, I'll take whatever I get, really.
Well, we've seen already from the Supersport race, we've already seen anything can happen in racing. Michael, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's about it. The car's just about gone on its lap. The tyre warmers are coming off. Everybody's too kind of nervous and focused to speak to me much more anyway now. So, Tony, back to you, mate.
Thanks very much, Whit. Yes, looks good out there, the grid, it really does. And the tension is palpable here in pit lane. You could cut it with a blunt spoon. Joining me is team owner of Swan Yamaha, it's Sean Muir. Sean, last year you were finding your feet in the Superbikes. I think it would be fair to say this year, boy, haven't you got serious about it. Two of your riders on the front row of the grid. Is it going according to plan so far?
A little bit. We had a few problems with Tommy today. We've had to change an engine over between qualifying and the race. So there was a problem we had this morning. Again, because of the programme, we didn't get a chance to change that between FP3 and qualifying. So he's been held back a little bit there. Apart from that, it seems quite relaxed. He's just going about his business as he needs to do. He knows what he's got to do. He has to beat Hopper, and he's going to go out and do the best he can.
How does it fare with him psychologically when he sees his younger brother in such a thrilling Supersport race? Are you trying to calm him down? Because Tommy will be all over the screen cheering Jimmy on.
Well, I mean, as an example there, I think Jimmy was up to third at one point in that race and going for second, and he ended up ninth, so it's not doing him any good. He doesn't want to be watching that, just concentrate on his own game. But yeah, there's a lot of people talking about the pressure and what happened last year and what have you, but it's a totally different atmosphere, I think, with him now. I speak to his family and his friends around him, and they all agree that he's just going about his business as he normally would. I mean, and on the other side of the garage, you've got Michael, who's kind of almost out the championship if he kind of mathematically is there, and he's riding without any pressures whatsoever, and is unbeatable. On race tyres, he's got some real hot pace.
Well, you say that, but we just saw the Supersport race, and once again proof that anything can happen in racing, so you're not out until you're out. But bearing that in mind, and it's an ugly question, but has there been any team orders between the riders?
No, there hasn't. Well, what we've talked about is, if we get into a situation where Tommy can get through and he's been held up by Michael for whatever reason, and then obviously sense has got to prevail there. But we've also talked about how it can be implemented anyway. But you've got to there was a 14-wheel juggernaut at the second race at Silverstone. It could work out against us in whatever we do. So we've got to be careful what we say, what we do, and how we go about it. But really, the ultimate here is that Tommy has got to go out and beat Hopper, and it'll take care of itself after that. OK, Sean, we wish you the very best of luck in this race that's about to happen. Let's get underway then with the first MCE British Superbikes race of the day here from Brands Hatch. Going to our commentators, James Whittam and Jack Bernicle.
Josh Brooks on Josh Brooks on pole position. Former third place man in the World Supersport Championship back in 2008. Second in British Superbikes of 2010 with HM Plant Honda. And right on the pace here towards the conclusion of the 2011 season in British Superbikes. The Australian cruises comfortably about 7th last off the grid, and to roll round his warm-up lap towards pole position, which he'll start from here at Brands Hatch. The first of 3 races to decide the MCE Insurance British Superbike champion of 2011. These are the standings as they are right now. John Hopkins on 601, Tommy Hill on 609, Tommy Hill on 601, Josh Brooks 568, 3 points ahead of Shaky Byrne on 565. He is level with Michael Laverty, though not on the grid. He's 4 rows behind. Yuichi Kianari is in 6th place and no longer part of the championship winning scene. John Kirkham leads the Riders' Cup in 7th ahead of Michael Rutter, who is level with Peter Hickman. Gary Mason in 10th place. 11th for Martin Jessup ahead of Chris Walker. Loris Paz, James Westmoreland in 14th ahead of Stuart Easton. Graham Gowland overall is now 16th and leading Mirror.co.uk Evo rider within the championship ahead of Alex Lowe's, Tommy Bridewell, Dan Linfoot and Glenn Richards. The starting grid for the first British Superbike Championship race of the weekend. Relentless Suzuki by Taz, Josh Brooks, Australia. Swan Yamaha, Michael Laverty, Ireland. Samsung Crescent Suzuki, John Hopkins, the USA. Swan Yamaha, Tommy Hill, England. That is the front row, truly international. Ahead of Cumbrian James Ellison on the SorryMate.com Honda. Michael Rutter, the veteran on the Rapid Solicitors Batham's Ducati, leading John Kirkham on the 2nd Samsung Crescent Suzuki, and then the Mirror.co.uk Evo Championship frontrunner, WFR Honda's Graham Gowland. 3rd row of the grid, Martin Jessup, Alex Lowe's, James Westmoreland and Chris Walker. The 4th row, Tommy Bridewell, Yuichi Kianari, Ian Lowry and Glenn Richards. The magnificent 2.3009 mile Grand Prix circuit of Brands Hatch awaits Tommy Hill, his fans and his opposition. On the front row, Josh Brooks after that scalding lap, far and away the fastest lap we've ever seen here at Brands Hatch on 2 wheels. Edged out Michael Laverty. So we've got 2 Suzukis, 2 Yamahas on the front row of the grid.
Well, this
is it.
This is it.
The talking stops, the lights go on, and when the lights go on, look at Brooks. He's not even laid down behind he just suddenly launches himself down behind the bubble, heads for the first time, and he's beaten there by Michael Laverty on the Swan Yamaha. Laverty gets there first, Hopkins in 3rd, Tommy Hill 4th, so the main men are right there at the front. But look at Michael Rutter going round the outside at Druids Hill Bend. He's getting the better of Tommy Hill. So Hill suddenly has work to do from a point he may not have expected, and right behind him he's got James Ellison and Graham Gowland. Gowland had a big moment there coming out of Graham Hill Bend. It's Laverty, Brooks, Hopkins, Rutter, Hill, Ellison.
Hill's gone off the track nearly. Hill's gone way wide.
So Tommy Hill makes a couple of early mistakes and suddenly is back to about 6th place. So a huge amount of work to do from the young man from Edenbridge in Surrey, as he immediately responds and gets the better there as they go through Pilgrim's Drop of Graham Gowland.
Yeah, well, you'd expect the Swan Yamaha full works World Superbike spec to be quicker than the Evo Honda that Gowland's on.
16 laps then here. We're on the first of 16 as we go through Dingledell and up to Sheen Curve. Shaky Byrne up to 11th place, already on the charge, hand injury or not, after that colossal get-off at Westfield earlier today during qualifying. Well, it's Laverty who leads, Brooks 2nd, Hopkins looking comfortable in 3rd, ahead of Rutter, Ellison, Hill. Hill way wide round clearways onto the Clark Curve. So 1 lap in, Laverty, Brooks, Hopkins, Rutter, Ellison, Hill. That is the vital top 6.
Yeah, and Hill, I don't know whether Hill's a little bit rattled or just feeling a little bit of pressure. He's certainly making mistakes here. Not big ones, but just enough to cost him time.
Behind him, of course, he's got to be where he's got Graham Gowland, John Kirkham, who'd love to be in a position to nibble at John Hopkins' championship rival here at Brands Hatch.
What Hill needs to do is just settle down, take a breath, just kind of settle into it and get a little bit of rhythm going. But it's difficult when you see your title rivals just edging away from you, you know? the tendency is to push even harder and make even more mistakes.
And at the moment, the surprise for us is to see Michael Rutter and James Ellison clear of Tommy Hill at the moment. There they are, running in 4th and 5th places with Laverty, Brooks and Hopkins at the front. Hopkins, number 21. Well, this is a comfortable position to him to be here with already that 8-point cushion in the championship.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you know, Hopkins is the only one of the top 5 or 6 that can afford to be sitting there a little bit comfortable without pushing for that win, you know.
At the front then, Michael Laverty leads the way. 2nd place Brooks, 3rd Hopkins, 4th Rutter ahead of Ellison, Hill, Gowland, Kirkham. Shaky Byrne in 11th place, just behind Martin Jessup, and already in front of his teammate, the outgoing champion Yuichi Kianari. In fact, Shaky's moved up to 9th place, past Westmoreland and Jessup on that lap. So Shaky really storming, did a lap there of 125.65 as opposed to the 125.47 of the leader. And look at him now trying to get round the outside of the tall John Kirkham there, round Druids Hill Bend.
Yeah, let's not forget that before he slid off this morning, Shaky Byrne had been really fast in just about every session. So there's nothing wrong with his bike, there's nothing wrong with his setup. It's just that he slid off, you know, so you would expect him to go forward from there.
Tommy Hill's lap, 126.08. That's about 0.6 of a second off the pace being set by his teammate, the leader. Here comes Shaky, past Gowler on the Evo WFR Honda.
Yeah, you know, just check out Gowland's mid-corner speed. There's nothing wrong with the way that bike's going around corners. Actually, almost closed up a little bit on Shane Byrne then, in the corner.
So Shaky now through to 8th place, just behind John Kirkham, and of course the next man is Tommy Hill.
I can't tell you how impressive Gowland's mid-corner speed is. The way he just lets the brake up and turns it in and relies on that kind of side grip of the tyre and rolls through the corners. You can see how he's riding. I mean, I don't know how he's doing it, but you can see why he's getting those lap times on that uncompetitive bike.
3 laps complete. Laverty 125.56 on that lap, ahead of Brooks 126.69, Hopkins 125.82, and then into the 126ers for Rutter, Ellison, Hill, Kirkham 7th, Shaky Byrne right with him, and Tommy Hill regrouping now, closing the gap on the impressive James Ellison, number 16, and number 6 Michael Rutter.
Yeah, Shane Byrne's now round the back wheel of John Kirkham on the second of the Suzuki's.
This is an important battle here. Tommy Hill has somehow got to find a way past Michael Rutter and James Ellison, and then he's really got to maintain some grasp of the championship, surely.
Not only that, you'd think he'd got to try, you know, the plan for this race was just whatever happens to Hopkins, beat Hopkins, whether it's for 5th or 10th or whatever, you know.
James Ellison, big slide there, coming through the 100-mile-an-hour right-hander at Hawthorne.
You know, James Ellison's impressed me this last few weeks. He just seems to have found something that's making him the rider that we know he can be, you know.
It's a Shaky Byrne. He's made violent progress through the pack until now, but he's just come up against the on-form John Kirkham. And JK, who won here at Brands Hatch, of course, earlier in the year, is clinging on to that 7th place resiliently.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, when you start off 18th and you really deserve to be on the front row speed-wise, you're passing people with slightly slower bikes and not on your pace, and it gets more difficult the further up you get. He's got him this time, though.
Oh, I think he has, yes. Yep. Even a 6'3" Derbyshireman's knee can't keep him from sliding through there at Paddock Bend. While Ellison has a look up the end. Oh, and Tommy Hill just thinks about going.
And Tommy Hill needs to get in front of these boys fairly quickly,
because I think he's going to be he's going to find a fire-breathing Shane Byrne down his neck if he doesn't do so, because there's now just a bit of empty tarmac between the two.
In about a lap and a half that's going to happen, looking at the lap times.
4 laps in, Laverty leads it by 1.12 seconds from Brooks. Hopkins half a second behind in 3rd place, and then it's Rutter, Ellison, Hill. But still, the men in the 125 bracket are the leaders. This battle going on in the low 26s.
Shane Byrne as well is in 25s.
Laverty 4 laps in.
Look at Ellison. Ellison's having a real go at this, you know. The back was sliding all the way, just moving. He's riding really well, he's Ellison.
Certainly, as this battle begins to close up, it's going to could just become a 5-way tussle, because Byrne is hauling Kirkham along with him, and they are closing the gap on Tommy Hill. impressive when I spent time with him yesterday late afternoon. And somehow he's got to drag some extra out of here.
I can guarantee he's not quite so relaxed.
No, but I think he's just managed to
lever
out tonight. It's a good word out. Lever aside Ellison. Ellison goes for the inside line. Tommy covers it up Halewood Hill into Druids. And Michael Rutter makes a mistake.
And
Shaky did the same, and Tommy Hill at least manages to receive something of a gift from Michael Rutter and finds himself sprung fourth into fourth place.
Yeah, and you know what happened there? That all started because Rutter ran really wide on the brakes into Druids, and that, I think, dragged Shaky with him. You know, it's difficult to stick to your own line. If somebody does something silly in front, it's dead easy just to get dragged that bit wide with him.
Laverty, 5 laps in out of 16, leads the way, but this battle is for fourth place now. Laverty, Brooks, Hopkins, first, second and third. Hopper is the next man up the track, and Dan Linfoot's in, so too is Peter Hickman. So 2 of the Tyco Hondas are out together. They're looking at one another in disbelief.
They were looking at each other like it was the other one's fault. Yeah. Whatever happened.
Fastest lap on lap 2, by the way, Josh Brooks, 1:25.426, which is a convincing new race lap record here at Brands Hatch. At last, that 2007 mark of Gregorio Laviers has been beaten.
And I know we're watching the battle for fourth here with Tommy Hill, Curry Linfoot. But if you look in the top of the shot, it's actually closing up quite considerably, that gap between Laverty in the lead and Brooks in second.
And on that lap, Brooks was a couple of tenths quicker than Laverty, so Josh is beginning perhaps to make his move. And look, talking about making his move, look at Ellison going with Hill. Ellison on that lap, 1:26.8, Hill at 1:26.6. Look at the gap closing at the front. Josh Brooks in pursuit. There's the comfortable gap, relatively, that Hopper has over Tommy Hill. And Tommy somehow has got to eat into that advantage.
Yeah,
otherwise he'll find himself another 3 points adrift in the championship chase, with 2 races left.
Yeah, listen.
Ellison then on the SorryMate.com Honda challenging Hill as they go down Pilgrim's Drop.
There's nothing wrong with the speed of that Honda, is there? Ellison's on.
They've certainly sorted a few things out, because he's never really been outside the top 5 during qualifying all weekend, and he's not minding those big whopping slides.
No, he just kind of sticks to it. He doesn't snap the throttle closed. He just sticks with it, and lovely.
So at the front, Laverty, Brooks, the gap between them two is going to be interesting at the end of lap 7, because it is certainly closed up. And as they come pouring on to the finishing straight, Michael Laverty on the Swan Yamaha almost has Josh Brooks for company on the black Relentless by Taz Suzuki. The gap, 0.264 of a second. They've left Hopkins astray on that one. Hopper's back into the low 26s. Laverty and Brooks. Laverty 26.0, Brooks 25.6.
I'll tell you what, Brooks is definitely somewhere near the limit. You know, the bottom of Paddock Hill, there's like a compression where because the bike's on its side, it compresses, the suspension goes quite hard and it pushes the tyre outside. He's doing that every single lap, and that's a sign that he's right on the limit, that boy.
James Hayden said that his dive into Paddock during that sizzling lap in qualifying 3 was one of the most dramatic attacks of Paddock Hill he'd ever seen.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Paddock Hill is one of the... If you're not feeling confident with the way you're riding on your bike, it's one of the most frightening corners you can ever imagine. If you're feeling confident, you can kind of take liberties. You have lots going on. There's bumps going in that lifts the rear up as you're trying to slow the bike down. Then you get the bike on its side, and then the whole thing drops away, and you lose a lot of grip because the thing just hasn't got as much weight on. And then when you hit the compression, you've almost too much weight on. It's quite a complex corner and scary if you're not confident.
The 28-year-old Australian then is putting the pressure on, and Michael Laverty tries to respond. Laverty, the 30-year-old, originally from Toonbridge in Northern Ireland, leads the way, 9 laps out of 16. We're half distance in the first of 3 British Superbike races of this weekend. And on that lap, 25.9, 25.8, they're locked together at the front. Hopkins in 3rd place. Tommy Hill sets his fastest lap of the race, James, 0.6 of a second quicker than John Hopkins, and trims the gap to 2.2 seconds.
As does James Ellison that last lap round. He's dipped into the 25s as well now.
There's Hopkins. Here's the pursuing duo of Tommy Hill and James Ellison, and then it's Rutter Kirkham. Shaky Byrne has got the better of Gowland, but not been able to nail Rutter and Kirkham at the moment. I think possibly suffering a little with that grip in his left hand. It's got to be a problem for him at certain parts of the track. So Laverty, Brooks, Hopkins, Hill, Ellison and Rutter. This is Rutter lying 6th, Kirkham 7th, Shaky Byrne in 8th. Gary Mason, who's to continue a really nightmarish kind of weekend for him, having not been able to get inside the top 20 in qualifying, has pulled out on the MSS Colchester Kawasaki. Chianari lying 17th. What's that all about?
Lots of movement from Josh Brooks' Suzuki there.
But he says he's loving it.
I know, yeah.
The feel of it.
He does look to be loving it, I've got to say. You know, he has a real smile on his face, but there's just loads and loads of movement, and some people are really happy with that. And to be honest, when you're in the zone, look at that, lovely, isn't it?
How close does he trim the curb going into Paddock Hill?
What I thought he was looking at, because what I saw was just the rubber mats coming from the back of that bike. It's just almost floating over the top of there. You know, there's not much by way of contact. He's right in the zone now, he's Brooks.
It was interesting that he said his 2011 season underwent a whole cultural change. He moved to Northern Ireland. He's living with Gordon Crockard, the twice British Open motocross champion.
The Croc Star.
The Croc Star.
Yep.
And I can just imagine what lunacy they produce when they get out on their motocross bikes together, which they do frequently. So Josh has been really enjoying life. There's Hopkins running a solid 3rd, with Tommy Hill again setting his fastest lap of the race at 125.844 on that lap. Has knocked almost a second off Hopkins' advantage. This is where the battle for supremacy is raging in the championship. Hopkins on the Samsung Crescent Suzuki is just being gradually tweaked back by Tommy Hill.
Well, we've said it before and we'll say it again. Tommy Hill does not give up whatever happens.
So Tommy Hill running there with the bright green helmet in 4th place, ahead of this bunch.
Well, this is it.
Sorry,
that was his teammate Laverty with the green helmet, Jack.
I was suddenly thinking, why has Tommy got one of Michael's helmets on? The leaders, Laverty and Brooks. Hopkins crosses the line 3rd. Hill 4th, 0.79 of a second. Tommy Hill again lopped about 6/10 of Hopkins' advantage on that lap.
Yep, you did right.
At the moment, that's how the points scoring will stand. Hopkins 625, 614 Hill, 590 for Laverty. But look at Tommy straining at the leash here.
The next lap or two will be pivotal, because Hopkins will now know, definitely this last lap, he'll have got signals from his crew that Hill is right on his tail and making ground, and we'll see what he's able to do now. This will be telling.
Right, so Hopkins then, this is a vital lap, 11 out of 16, 2/3 race distance complete. But James, is the race long enough for Tommy Hill? He's got to somehow try and claw back those yards on Hopkins.
Looking at that, I think it is. I think it is. He's almost right with it. I think he's pulled another couple of tenths since the beginning of the lap, I think.
Here's Hopper plunging down Pilgrim's Drop.
And Tommy's pushing on.
And there's Tommy pushing very, very hard on the Swan Yamaha.
He's with him. I mean, that's immaterial now, is the actual lap screen, because, you know, timing screen, we don't need it. We can see it.
Now into Clearway, swooping onto the Clark curve and thence onto the Brabham Straight to complete another lap. There'll just be 4 laps left now.
And this is it for the championship. You know, this is the championship right here in front of us.
Tommy Hill with that narrow approach to Paddock Hill Bend, drops down the hill, perhaps not quite as fast on the exit as John Hopkins. Now he's got to find some way of getting round the vastly experienced American. There is Laverty versus Brooks. Meanwhile, and following them down the hill.
Now, for Tommy's part, Tommy knows that he's caught up and done the hard work. He doesn't need to rush now. He's got 4 laps left. He can take his time, suss it out, see what he's going to do.
And that now having regained his confidence on his line through Surtees, he's able to just remain on the back wheel of Hopkins as they drop down Pilgrims.
I don't think he's going to waste any time here. I think he will try and have a go at Hopkins fairly quick. I don't think he's going to want to waste time. He's looking at already.
Laverty leads. There is Brooks in second place, chasing the Irishman. And then we've got the American-English fight between that blue and white Samsung Crescent Suzuki. Oh, both of them drifting out of Sheen Curve, and Tommy right with him through Stirling.
He's right with him. I think he's going to have a look either into Clearways, which is just now.
I think it more likely might be Paddock Hill. If he gets a good drive out of Clark Curve, he's got that narrow angle into Paddock Hill, James, but he needs a good drive on the straight.
He does, but it doesn't look as quick as Hopkins into Paddock Hill.
And he doesn't look as quick out of Clark's either to get a look at that point. So 3 laps to go for Hopkins, so vitally to hold on to that third place. And again, he's quick through Paddock Hill, drives a bit of a gap up Haywood Hill.
I think if Tommy's going to... Tommy just missed it there, just lost the front on the brakes, just had to let the brakes off a bit and consequently missed a couple of feet of the apex. Druids, that cost him a little bit of time, did that.
His teammate Michael Laverty is still got it wrapped at the moment at the front, and Hopkins just as calmly just
Ellison
a few inches, and Ellison
a tenth of a second quicker than Hopkins or Hill, and what Hill doesn't need is any kind of trouble from behind from Ellison, because that'll really scupper his plans to beat Hopkins.
So we've got Yamaha, Suzuki, Yamaha, and James Ellison ahead of Shaky Byrne, who's now the leading Honda. Shaky Byrne 6th ahead of Rutter and Kirkham.
And it's this portion of the track, this sector, where Tommy Hill is definitely quicker than Hopkins. It's from the start and finish around Paddock Hill and around Druids that Hopkins is quicker.
Unfortunately, those are the most likely overtaking positions, really, for Tommy, unless he can get close enough to have a dip there going into Stirling's.
He's caught up everything he lost at Druids, which was quite a lot, maybe half a second. He's caught up in the rest of the lap.
Josh Brooks really working hard now, looking like he's building up to an attempted pass on Laverty.
And this is terrible, you know, we've got 2 mega pivotal dices going on and we can't watch them both at the same time.
We need a split screen.
That's what we need.
Up the hill into Druids. Laverty, Brooks, and Tommy Hill right on Hopkins for third place. As they drop down the hill, look up at the hill at Druids Hill Bend, and once again Ellison as well is right in the mix here.
Ellison 4/10 quicker than Hill or Hopkins that last lap.
Wow, where's he finding that pace?
Ellison could play a major part in this championship just now.
And John Hopkins just taking that wider approach to Surtees now as they drop down Pilgrims. We've only got 2.5 laps for Tommy Hill to try and sort this out. Hopkins still holds that third place.
Yeah, and you know that really sort of late apex that Hopkins has got, it really gives him a slingshot onto that straight, it really does. Tommy's right with him now. He needs to have a go.
I'm sure he's fairly keen to find a way to have a go, James.
Well, yeah, it's got to be on this part of the circuit. I don't think it's quick enough around the start and finish area of first. Here we go.
He's just not what Hopkins is pretty mustard there between Sheen and Stirling's. And James Ellison looking at that right-hand line as they go down through Clearways. Now Tommy somehow he's got to find a way to equal the drive of the Suzuki out of here, but Hopkins is so quick and so tight onto the Brabham Straight. This is as close as Tommy Hill has been. He goes for that inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. He gets him. Does he get him? Yes, he does. He dives through into third place. Oh, he's wide though. He's got to cut it back to the apex and hold the apex.
He's defending now. Has he made the apex? Yes, he has.
And now James Ellison is right on the tail of John Hopkins and looking for his best result of the season. And this is stupendous racing.
Just at a time when Ellison's best result is going to make a pivotal difference.
Here comes Hopkins.
He's going to retaliate.
He's made that work going into Surtees, and he knows it's quick going out. He does stop it. He's immediately responded to Tommy's brave pass. So now they've got to do. Tommy's got to do it again.
He has. He's got this lap and another lap to do it. This is Brooks on Laverty's there.
Josh Brooks is trying to get the better of Michael Laverty, while Tommy Hill now has to fight his way once again into a position to pass John Hopkins with just a lap and a half remaining.
If you were James Ellison at this point, would you want to get involved knowing that this is the dice for the championship right in front of you?
Yeah, I would think that he would do. Well, he's a fairly sensible Cumbrian. He might not. He might think, oh dear me, I can't really get in between these two.
Every man for himself in this sport, Jack, I'll tell you.
It certainly is. And as they disappear under the bridge, he certainly looks almost to have a move there on Tommy Hill. Tommy really doesn't want that to happen. Oh, and Tommy is not in a position to launch an assault this time on the Suzuki as they go into the final lap. Hopkins has that third place back. Tommy Hill in 4th, James Ellison in 5th. Laverty was 1.16 of a second ahead of Josh Brooks in their battle for the lead.
There they are.
Oh, back marker, that's what we need.
Oh, there's an off, somebody's off there.
It might be Carl Harris. I don't know. Someone's dropped it in the background as we watch the battle going on,
David
not
Anthony.
only for the lead. Oh, and Josh Brooks just runs a little wide through Surtees.
The crasher was David Anthony, but it would mean that there's yellow flags out there, which means we don't know what's happening with Tommy Hill, but he couldn't have had a go at Hopkins' head, even if he was close enough under the yellow flags.
Laverty, Brooks, Hopkins. This is the battle for the lead, with Brooks still not quite able to find a place around the consistently fast Irishman.
This is the battle for the championship.
It could be victory here for Swan Yamaha, but not necessarily the rider that they want to do the winning, because at the moment, Tommy Hill, after a slow start to the race, not able to claw back John Hopkins. Or can he? He might have one last throw of the dice with 3 turns to go.
You need to set this up, get behind him, get the slipstream down the last little bit straight from Sterling's and try and get under him into clear. He's not going to do it.
Michael Laverty will win the first race of the weekend for Swan Yamaha. The Irishman's not out of it yet. Second place for Brooks as they come into clearways at the top of the picture. Oh, Tommy Hill got the better of him and ran wide coming out of clearways. And John Hopkins just gets across the line in front. Hopkins gets it 3rd, Hill 4th, Ellison 5th, Shaky Byrne in 6th. Victory for Michael Laverty. 8th place Kirkham, 9th in the leading Mirror.co.uk Evo Cup runner is Graham Gowland.
I'm drained. Well, that didn't let us down, did it? How good was that?
Race winner Michael Laverty. Disappointment there for Philip Neal. 2nd place for Josh Brooks. And while there's elation for this man Sean Muir, there's also the disappointment of knowing that Tommy Hill has not quite managed to pinch that 3rd place from John Hopkins. Laverty wins it then. Brooks, Hopkins and Hill in the top 4. Ellison a colossal 5th, right on the tail of the championship contenders. And Steve Hennigan, number 54, in 24th place, was the man who almost got in the way of that enormous dice. Applause from the race safe marshals then for Laverty, Brooks, Hopkins, Hill and Ellison.
You've got to appreciate what we've just seen. That was a fantastic race, Chad. I loved it.
And Tommy Hill had done what you said he needed to do, James. He'd somehow found a run through clearways. He momentarily had the advantage. Oh, and here he is. He got up the inside, but then he had to hold it the line. And Hopper, look at Hopper putting all his faith in the grip of that rear Pirelli. Just squirms his way through to grab 3rd place. There's Michael Rutter getting the better of John Kirkham for 7th. And behind them, a brilliant 9th place for Graham Gowland, all on his own. So Laverty, 16 breathtaking, breathless laps, and Michael Laverty takes victory in the first MCE Insurance British Superbike Championship in association with Pirelli race of the weekend. And we've got 2 more of those to go yet tomorrow, live here on Eurosport.
So have we figured out the point situation now, Hill to Hopkins? Can we do that? We're clever enough. We're not used to it.
The gap would extend by 3 points, which I think would make it 11 points.
I think you're right.
Exactly the same as Ben Wilson and Alistair Seeley in the Super Sport with 2 races to go.
Yes.
So a nodding, very highly satisfied Michael Laverty comes riding into the Parc Fermé to be congratulated by his pit crew. Congratulations also to Josh Brooks, who really lost that off the start when Laverty got the better of him, and that made all the difference throughout that race.
Yeah, as did Tommy Hill. He suffered from a really bad start there. And you know, when you've got to come through the field and push on, you do use more of that tyre, you know, and I don't think Tommy had as much as left as what he thought.
So Tony Carter's down in Parc Fermé with the boys here. Tony, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jack. Yeah, we are here in Parc Fermé. I'm just going to barge my way in here because there's one man I want to speak to before everybody else, and that is this man here, John Hopkins, just having a quick debrief with crew chief Les Pearson. John, what a race you had right up into that last corner where Tommy dived up the inside, then ran wide. What are your thoughts on that race?
Oh, it's just a great race. I just didn't have anything for the lead group, and man, I don't think I've ever ridden so tense in my life. I was just so tight. I ended up getting like arm pump, and it was a good race. It was. I'm definitely hoping to loosen up tomorrow, but you know, it's just staying ahead of Tommy was the main thing, and you know, we just got to keep doing that for the rest of the weekend.
For that central third of the race, you looked like you were losing a bit of pace. out on the track, which allowed Tommy to sort of come back to you, and James Ellison also. What did you put that down to? Was that you being too tense out there, or was there a problem with grip or something?
No, just me riding too tight. Just, the bike's working great, but I don't know. I would say, unfortunately the nerves have got to me a little bit. And, I just lost the pace a little bit. But, we did the main objective, which was beat Tommy. So, we can't be too disappointed. And, we're going to go into the drawing board, look at some things, and hopefully come back a little stronger tomorrow.
It was great. You've extended your championship lead. You are now 11 points in the lead. You were 8 going into this race. So as far as you're concerned, at the moment, job done for race 1.
Yeah, job done.
Great, John. Well done. Our race winner there. Our third place finisher, John Hopkins. Our race winner, let's have a look, see if we can grab... let's grab Josh before we get to Michael. Josh, you pushed so hard. You were riding right on the edge. We had some fantastic footage of you going into Paddock Hill. Never seen anybody riding quite like it. You pushed right until the very end. You just couldn't quite beat him.
No, I had my work cut out for me getting back onto him. I lost a bit of time. I mean, that's been my weak point all year, maybe the first couple of laps of the race, and then at the end I come stronger. And I had my work cut out for me just making up the ground I'd lost in those first 2 laps. But once I got rolling and got in the rhythm, I caught back up to him. But he didn't make a single mistake all race. We were dead even, like with lap times the whole way through, and I could stay with him. And even when I lost a little bit of ground, I could sort of catch it back up. But catching it back up and making a pass is 2 different things. So I thought the only way I'm going to get by is if he makes a mistake. So I sort of sat there waiting. And he rode a perfect race. So full credit to Michael. He deserved that win.
You've got to be happy with your performance in that race. Okay, you didn't take the win, but your riding was subliminal. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself. The racing was fun. I had a smile, most of the time round. But coming over the line second just doesn't cut it. So we'll work on the next 2 tomorrow.
Best of luck with that. Great riding. Well done there, Josh. Right, let's hear from the Swan Yamaha team owner, Sean Muir. Charlie Hiscott is with him.
Sean, how are your nerves?
Yeah, it's a bit frayed after that race, but it could have worked out a bit better for Tommy, but he's got to beat Hopper. As I said, there was no team orders before, and that's we'll maintain. We just Michael will do his own race, and as will Tommy. But he had to go the last lap, and he had to go a couple of laps earlier, but just couldn't make the move stick. But I'll credit to the boys there. Hopper did a job and went out early and got a good lap, a good gap. But Tommy was making quite a few mistakes early doors, and it just paid. If he could have just kind of got onto the back of Hopper, probably with about 5 or 6 laps to go, he could have just sat there, settled himself a little bit, and made a good clean move and gone on to just get a bit more of a close that points gap. But we'll take it as it is and go on tomorrow.
Tommy was right there at the end. Obviously, there must be positives to be taken from this race.
Yeah, definitely. We, as I said earlier when I spoke to Larry, we had to change a motor for that race there, and it's never ideal. It's psychologically you think, geez, I've been running on this other motor, and I've got to put something else in, and we've overcome that. But it could have been a lot worse. Okay, it could be better, and we're still in it, and it's still down to Hopper and John. So we'll, take it away and have a look overnight and come back strong in the morning.
What's going to happen between now and tomorrow morning?
I think, it was good to get that race just out of the way and clean. There's been a lot of pressure on this today because we've had that's the 4th time we've been on track. It's been quite difficult, but for taking Tommy overnight and getting him ready in the morning, he's just got to go about his business really. There's not a lot we can really do. He's focused. He's a pro. He knows what he's got to do. And unfortunately, we now that we are going to have to really drop the hammer and overcome Hop. I think John can afford to sit behind Tommy in one of the races, unfortunately. So, we've got to hopefully get Tommy in front, maybe get Michael behind and push Hopper further down. But you've seen people like James Ellison come into the fray there. If Tommy could have got through earlier on Hopper, then James maybe could have followed him. But it wasn't to be. We'll roll up our sleeves and get on with it tomorrow.
Thanks very much, Sean. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Right, well, there we go. We just heard from Sean Muir. Now let's hear from the man who won that first Superbike race here at Brands Hatch, Michael Laverty. Brilliant ride. Josh Brooks paid you a massive compliment when he said he sat behind you waiting for a mistake. One didn't come. You rode the perfect race. Do you agree with Josh's assessment?
Yeah, I tried to keep it smooth. Early laps, I seen a big gap going up on my board when I put in a few fast ones, and then when I seen it coming down, it was like someone's coming back for me. So just try and watch my lap timer and make no mistakes and keep it as smooth as possible. And I did that, and every lap was 25.9, 26.0, 25.9. It was just there was within a tenth every lap. So I was just hitting my braking markers, picking the throttle up. The bike didn't change much as the race went on. Grip stayed pretty similar. So yeah, full credit to the Swan Yamaha boys. They gave me the package to win, and we pulled it off. So well chuffed.
aside from one qualifying session, you've topped the timesheets everywhere, every time you've been out, and then you've won the first race. 2 more races to come this weekend. Are you going to do a couple more?
Definitely going to try. You know, we set the pace all weekend at Silverstone, led every practice session, every qualifying, and then in the race we didn't win anything. So it's nice to finally turn it around in a race. You know, instead of being fast all the time and not winning, now we've finally done it in a race. So gets the monkey off my back a wee bit. You know, I feel I've been fastest over the last quarter of the season, so it's nice to get a race win under our belt, and then gives me confidence for tomorrow. And it'd be nice to get another 2 wins and try and do the double tomorrow. But obviously there's going to be a championship to be taken tomorrow, so there's going to be a lot more pressure. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm trying to enjoy it at the minute. The pressure's off me championship-wise, so I can just kind of take in the atmosphere and enjoy the weekend.
Anything can happen with the championship, Michael. This is racing. Very well done on your win there. Michael Laverty, the race winner for Swan Yamaha. Let's go and get the results and standings now with Jack.
The British Superbike Championship in association with Pirelli. Michael Laverty takes an extraordinary race win from the hard-riding Josh Brooks. John Hopkins somehow fends off that late assault from Tommy Hill. James Ellison hovering right behind them, having his best ride of the year for the SorryMate.com Honda team. Ahead of Shaky Byrne, coming through from 18th place on the grid to 6th on the HM Plant Honda. 7th for Michael Rutter on the Rapid Solicitors Batham's Ducati, ahead of John Kirkham on the 2nd Samsung Crescent Suzuki. Graham Gowland once again handsomely leads the Mirror.co.uk Evo class for Team WFR Honda, ahead of Martin Jessup on the 2nd Ducati. 11th for Tommy Bridewell, his 70th British Superbike race on Motorpoint Yamaha. Chris Walker finishes 12th, ahead of Ian Lowry on the MSS Colchester Kawasaki. James Westmoreland's Team WFR Honda finishes 14th, and the last point goes to Alex Lowe's on the 2nd Motorpoint Yamaha, ahead of Glenn Richards, Yuichi Kianari, Barry Burrell, Patrick Muff and Steve Mercer. After 24 from 26 races in the British Superbike Championship of 2011, the gap is 11 points between John Hopkins, Samsung Crescent Suzuki, and Tommy Hill, Swan Yamaha. 3rd place, Michael Laverty on 590 points now, just 24 points behind his teammate after that win. Josh Brooks is 4th, just 2 points adrift of the Irishman, ahead of Shaky Byrne and Yuichi Kianari. And then it's John Kirkham, well clear now of Michael Rutter in 8th, Peter Hickman 9th, and Gary Mason remains top 10 despite retiring from that race, ahead of Martin Jessup, Chris Walker and Loris Baz. James Westmoreland and Graham Gowland level place and 14th on the WFR Hondas, ahead of Stuart Easton, Tommy Bridewell, Alex Lowe's, Dan Linfoot and Glenn Richards. The race started crucially with that hole shot from Michael Laverty in the bright green helmet, getting the better of Josh Brooks off pole position. And that meant that Brooks would have all the work to do. In early doors, as Sean Muir beautifully put it, was hard work for Tommy Hill. He got beaten back first by Michael Rutter, and then he made a huge error running deep and wide, almost missing Surtees altogether. That dropped him another couple of places, and from that point on, the Englishman was always going to have a trying time. So too did his fellow Lundler Shaky Byrne, here passing Graham Gowland during his surge through the pack from 18th on the grid. But it was going to be harder work from this point onwards for the 34-year-old former champion. He did, however, get the better at this moment of John Kirkham, dropping into Paddock Hill Bend, although Kirkham would come back at him. Tommy Hill finally re-galvanised himself, got the better of Ellison, and then sneaked underneath Michael Rutter and Druids, and that meant he was through into 4th place with a clear run at John Hopkins. The battle at the front involved Laverty and Brooks. Brooks closed the gap down with some particularly hard charging through Paddock Hill Bend. But Laverty rode a flawless race, never really put a wheel wrong, while Tommy Hill clawed back 2.5 second advantage on John Hopkins, and finally, with just 2 laps to go, dived inside Hopper as they went through Paddock Hill Bend. But Hopkins was having none of it. The American riding tense, suffering a bit of arm pump, surprised at himself for riding in such a nervous fashion. Nonetheless, pulled another pass. We're going into Surtees, but enough to hold Tommy up. And that meant it all had to come down to the last lap. And on that last lap, as they dropped into the final turn, Tommy Hill dangled a leg, bravely surged through into Clearways and Clark's, but ran wide. Hopper just gunned the Suzuki through underneath him. And while Laverty beat Brooks at the front, 2nd place went to Brooks, 3rd place went to Hopkins, vitally easing his way a little bit further ahead in the championship. The spoils, however, to Michael Laverty. Tommy Hill on his speedy fastest lap league. He tops it with 8 ahead of Shaky Byrne on 5. Michael Laverty and Josh Brooks 4 each. Josh Brooks setting a new lap record in that race. Yuichi Kianari on 3 ahead of John Hopkins and John Kirkham. John Hopkins, 3rd place on the podium, and the American is plenty pleased with that. That's the vital one. He didn't win it, but he did beat Tommy Hill. Josh Brooks finishing in 2nd place, and notice that Hopper still doesn't like to shake hands with that right hand, even if he can hold the helmet with it. And what about Michael Laverty? His 5th victory in his British Superbike career. The first was at Alton Park last year. He won again at Croft. It's his 3rd victory of the season here after topping it at Thruxton and Cadwell Park. Karen Neal from MCE Insurance presents the trophies. First to John Hopkins. Hopper in 3rd place. 2nd place to Josh Brooks, running off pole position, 2nd place in the race, and the leader of that race virtually throughout its 16 laps. What a performance there by Michael Laverty and for the Swan Yamaha team. And that means that they have won this race, but they've lost a few precious points in the championship.
There we go then, the champagne now about to be sprayed after the first MCE British Superbikes race from Brands Hatch this weekend. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at what the implications are from the race we've just seen and take a look at the action to come tomorrow. We'll see all that, with all of that in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Brands Hatch. There's some cricket coming up to tell you about. Somerset versus Mumbai Indians. It's live. It's the T20 Champions League semi-final. That's on now. But if you want to stay with us and look forward to tomorrow's action here at Brands Hatch, then you can watch the highlights of the cricket. That's tonight at 9 o'clock on British Eurosport. Well, we are here at Brands Hatch, and as you've just seen, 2 fantastic races. James Whittam, James Hayden are still with me here at the end of pit lane. James Hayden, let's start off talking about that Superbike race, because boy, did they have a bit of everything in there. At the front, we saw Brooks and Laverty, and we also had the Hill and Hopper equation going on as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Hill and Hopper bit that fascinated right now, wasn't it? Because, yeah, it's those guys dicing for this championship. And, you know, Tommy, I couldn't believe, because actually he let Hopkins get away a bit. He actually had 3 seconds lead on him. They hunted him down, probably used a bit of his tyre in doing so. And then when he got to him, he made that move, but couldn't quite make it stick. Hopkins just straight back at him, and, I mean, just bodes so well for the next couple of races as well.
And right from the start, Michael Laverty made his intentions known. He got out of the blocks very well, and from there he was just head down and pushing as hard as he can right from the very start.
Absolutely, and like Brooks said, he was relying on Laverty making a mistake. He didn't. You know, he just head down, got going, consistently quick lap times, and just didn't make any mistake, didn't get flustered. For Tommy's part, he's actually in 4th here, looking quite good, and then dropped back, made a couple of mistakes, lost the front, and just didn't get into a rhythm and didn't get settled early enough, and that gave himself a real hard time later on. That cost him the beating of Hopkins, I think.
Well, fascinating. I'll put this to the pair of you, but Tommy was there and he ran wide, and then he got into the scrap with Hopper, but running wide, that's not what we expect from Tommy Hill, is it?
Well, you know,
is that sign of the pressure? Is he holding on a bit tight?
It was a bit of the pressure, and actually, when I spoke to Hopkins said as well. He said it was very, very tight. This is, you see there, Tommy Hill running really wide there. That cost him some time. I think both of them here. Hopkins said the same thing. He said I was really tight on the bike. Yeah. I wasn't relaxed. This is a dice right at the end, and you know, this is Tommy's move.
First pass, yeah,
the first pass of the race, and he gets him very late, and you think, oh, he's done it now. And then he's clever here, and he blocks his line, keeps him forced to the outside. But Hopkins also knew, you know, both of these guys, there's so much in it, wasn't there?
Absolutely, and this is into Surtees, this is Hopkins immediately striking back at Hill. And I've got to say, Hopkins was unbelievably quick there all race. He was really quick. Really quick.
I mean, both of them so loose, right on the very edge as well.
Yeah.
But also with one eye on the championship.
That's it.
In the back of their minds all the time. Can't push so hard, can't risk the crash.
Cannot risk a crash, no
The
way.
most awful type of racing for a racer, really. You can't let yourself off the leash, but you know you've got to because the other guy is.
Really difficult position to be in for a ride, I've got to say.
Yeah, no, very much.
So what did you make of Tommy Hill throughout that race? Did you feel it was a shame he didn't make the podium?
I thought once he got in his rhythm and he's relaxed, he did absolutely brilliantly. He was banging in just 25s, 25s, 25s.
Taking
and he hunted him down.
8 off Hopper.
And he gave himself a lot to do at the start. He used a bit of his tart, and then he couldn't quite make it stick. What he's got to do tomorrow is, you know, is just get away with Hopkins again and try and put someone between him. Ellison, you know, Ellison was thereabouts. You know, you could also see everyone making a little change, and tomorrow, instead of being this little gap with Laverty and Brooks, you can see them being all together, because we're only talking a tenth or two a lap.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's hear from the man in question, Tommy Hill, right now. He's further down pit lane. He is with Charlie Hiscock.
Tommy, that was a fantastic race.
Yeah, maybe. It's a good race, obviously, for the people watching and whatnot, but fortunately for us, we had to change the engine before the race, and anyone will know, or any rider will know, that changing the engine before the race is a little bit risky, but we had to. We had a few issues with the other one, and the boys worked hard to change it. So first few laps, you see I made a mistake there up into Surtees the first few laps. I just was basically, you know, all weekend you're in a rhythm with the engine and the bike that you're running. I come down the Cooper Straight and completely missed my braking mark. I was just sort of looking down at the dash. I thought there was a problem with the bike with the time that I lost. And I made a mistake, ran a bit wide, and then it was hard work trying to get back past everyone. You know, with the engine that we got, I think about 8 brake horsepower down to the one that I've been using. So I knew it was going to be hard work, and I was just like, just chip away, you know, relax, get into a rhythm. And like, you know, at one point I was running the same pace and pulling the leaders in front, but when I got up to Hopper, I was like, how am I going to pass him? You know, I haven't quite got the speed. And I knew I needed to try and stuff him somewhere, and I tucked it underneath him at paddock, protected the line a little bit too much earlier on, and he come back at me. So frustrated really, because you know, I knew I had the pace there, but it wasn't to be. So you know, I gave it my all, and hopefully now the bike will come back and we can prep the main engine.
Is it fair to say that you're actually a lot quicker around the back of the track there, and John's actually a bit quicker than you on the front track where all the overtaking places are?
Yeah, which is surprising, you know, because the back part of the circuit is fast, but with the Yamaha R1 it works well, letting it roll, letting it flow, and fortunately for us, that's where the bike works well. You know, and when there's someone in front of you, you can't let it flow as much, where the Suzuki and the Honda may be stopping it a bit more and firing it out. We need to let it roll, and if there's a blue and white bike in front of me, I can't let it roll and do what I want to do. So we can get a little bit more speed, we can almost stop it, pick it up and turn it out. So tomorrow is another day, as they say, and we've got 2 more races. So you know, I'm feeling good. I rode hard there everywhere I could do, and done all I could. So we're going to fix the main engine and get ready to rock and roll for tomorrow.
Cracking race to watch. Thanks, Tommy.
Cheers.
Absolutely, rock on, Tommy, for tomorrow. 11 points now separate them. Separate Tommy Hill from John Hopkins at the top of the title chase. And James, you pointed out in qualifying, after qualifying, when we looked in the Swan Yamaha garage, some sort of problem with the engine. We heard there the engine changed. That has affected Tommy's chances in that first race.
The head gasket went. They didn't have time to change it for the last qualifying. They just had to top it up with water, get it out there. And actually, the engine that he likes has got a completely different head on it. So what they're going to do tonight, that engine that he's run today, there's 8 brake horsepower down, going to get that out, swap it over, rebuild the head, new gasket, and put the good engine back in for tomorrow.
Well, one sickly Swan on one side of the track, and then a fantastic Swan at the other side of the track. Of course, Michael Laverty and that win. And when we saw him in those last couple of laps, as Josh Brooks said, he was waiting for a mistake, but one didn't come. An almost perfect race by Michael Laverty.
Yeah, but that's what we saw in qualifying. I know he didn't grab pole, but you know, his consistency and his rhythm has been stunning. Here we see him just come and take the win, but he was just so precise, and he really, you know, he's worked very hard in qualifying, banging in those times, doing big race blocks. He's got his tyre working, got his bike working. Awesome.
Now, wait, let's change focus here from BSB and talk about BSS, the British Super Sport, the Food Cycling Championship. What a race we had there between Ben Wilson and Alistair Seeley, and we had the same old Brands Hatch rubbing. They do like to rub each other up the wrong way here at Brands.
They do, but you just couldn't write this script.
No.
It's unbelievably exciting. I mean, yeah, Ben Wilson went off. They were rubbing each other up going into Paddock Hill. Ben determined to sort of put one over. Here we go. Now, yeah, this is further around the first lap. This is the past Seeley on Wilson. And really, it was quite difficult to see how Wilson was going to match the pace of Seeley, but he did have a go, like Ben always does.
So we've got elbows on the start-finish straight, just like we had elbows going into Druids the last time we were here. Now, that last time, those two gave us one of the best races, I think we all agree, we've ever seen.
They've been at it all year.
Absolutely, all year. They've been incredible. 9 wins apiece.
Yep.
Yeah, they've been unbelievable. But one thing that Ben did say there, and I do believe, he did keep the pressure on Alistair. Right, so in that race, you know, like by those passes and stuff, Alistair actually had the speed.
It's interesting that you say that because, quite rightly so, the pressure was on Seeley. He was trying to get away, though. He put in record lap after record lap, and then he lost the front.
2 lap records in a row. He caught the cases on the curb, and it just lifted the front wheel up.
Look.
This is it. He's actually caught the cases, clipped the curb, lifted.
He was actually just starting to pull away from Wilson. I don't think he you know.
He smashed the lap record 2 laps in a row, the outright world lap record, held by Andrew Pitt. And but what I meant, if he'd gotten his rhythm, yeah, he could well have maybe gone. But because he hadn't, he was a second clear of Ben Wilson in practice, so he was expecting by then lap 3, lap 4 to have a 4-second lead, and he didn't. He had a 0.7 second lead, and the pressure was still on him. So there was, you know, again, this, and I just can't believe we've got 2 more races tomorrow. 11-point lead as well for Wilson. So if he's clever, he could actually have 2 seconds
twice,
and he could still win it. Very, very important.
It's Brands Hatch. We have Alistair Seeley though in front of him. It's so hard for a racer to reel themselves in. Very interesting though that it's 11 points between Wilson and Seeley, 11 points between Hopper and Hill. It's all to play for here. You know, lucky 11. Can you have a lucky 11? Somebody will find it lucky tomorrow, I'm sure, across both of them. Yeah, Troy Corser, lucky 11, definitely. Guys, thank you very much for everything you've done for today. Looking forward to tomorrow, no doubt. It's going to be a cracker. Make sure you join us for that. And if you've missed anything from today, what you can do is catch up with our highlight show from all the action today. That is tonight at 7 o'clock. That's on British Eurosport 2. Our live coverage continues tomorrow from 11:30 in the morning here, live from Pit Lane, all on British Eurosport 2, of course. But that is it from Brands Hatch. Whoa, what a day it's been. Can you have a lucky 11? We'll find out tomorrow. We'll see you with plenty more action then. But until then, from all of us here at Pit Lane at Brands Hatch, see you tomorrow. Bye.
Just shut up and move with me, move with me.